Welcome to the deep dive. So you've given us a stack of sources on a pedal that looks pretty simple on the surface, but has a shocking amount of complexity under the hood. We're talking about the BOSS FB2 feedbacker booster.
That's right. It's a really fascinating piece of gear.
It came out in 2011, and when you think of BOSS, you think of those classic simple stomp boxes, the yellow one, the orange one. But the FB2 is something else entirely.
It really is. The official name is Dynamic Booster plus Harmonic Feedback Generator.
It sounds like two different pedals fused together by some kind of mad scientist.
It kind of is, yeah.
So our mission today is to dig into these sources and unpack this wildly advanced and often overlooked hybrid architecture. We really need to figure out what dynamic boosting actually means.
And how it generates that musical feedback without a wall of amps.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right, and it's absolutely essential to get this straight from the outset. The FB2 isn't just a booster, and it's definitely not just another distortion with a sustained function. It's more like a triple threat. Triple threat, okay.
First, you have a really high-quality, very clean boost. Second, a fully controllable harmonic feedback generator. And third, and this is the part most people miss, it has dynamic tone shaping.
So the sound actually changes based on how you play.
Exactly. It shifts based on your picking expression, your attack. That's what separates it from a standard gain pedal, which just, applies a fixed EQ and gain to whatever you feed it.
That's the key.
It is. And the core promise, the whole reason players hunt these down today, is that ability to get controllable musical feedback at any volume.
Right.
If you're a recording musician or you play ambient stuff or you just practice late at night, that is a complete game changer. It puts that deafening arena-level interaction right into a little box.
Which brings us right to the architecture. I mean, looking at the source material, the component list reads like a physics textbook, not a pedal manual. Why does it need to be so sophisticated?
Because it's trying to trick physics. That's the simplest way to put it.
Real feedback is all about acoustics. The air from your speaker hits your guitar strings and creates this physical loop. The FB2 has to simulate that whole process with technology.
So it needs a digital brain and an analog heart, basically.
That's a perfect way to describe it, a true hybrid. The sources highlight several layers. You've got your variable gain clean boost. That's the analog core for warmth and headroom. But that's all governed by a digital system with a multiband EQ, harmonic modeling, feedback algorithms, and something called dynamic range analysis.
Okay, let's pause on that jargon for a second. Dynamic range analysis. What does that actually mean for the listener in practice?
Think of it this way. Instead of just making everything louder, the pedal is constantly listening to you.
Listening.
Yeah. It analyzes how hard you hit the strings, which frequencies are loudest, how fast the note is decaying, and it uses all that information to decide how to apply the EQ and the gain. It can tell the difference between a light little finger pick line and a hard power chord.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's not reacting to volume, it's reacting to your intent.
Yes. Exactly. And that complexity is why the feedback part works so well. It's not just some fixed, synthesized screech.
Right. It's not just layering on a high octave.
No, absolutely not. The sources make a huge deal about this. It's simulating the air coupling, that physical interaction. The FB2 actually models how harmonics bloom and decay naturally. That's how you get that responsive, sustained feel, even if you're playing silently through headphones.
Okay, so that's the complexity sorted. Let's talk about how you actually control all this power. You have the standard knobs, right? Yeah. Boost and tone.
Yep, and they're very interactive. The boost knob is your intensity, but because of that dynamic engine we were just talking about, it doesn't really act like a simple volume dial.
How so?
At lower settings, it's a super transparent, clean boost. But as you crank it, it can become more of a mid-boost or even a warm driver. It pushes that analog section harder.
And the tone control is, what, a simple EQ?
It's a broadband tilt EQ, super effective. Turn it left, you get warmer, smoother tones, great for thickening up single coils. Turn it right, you get brighter, more cutting sounds. It's really for pre-shaping the sound before the character knob does its thing.
Ah, speaking of which, let's get to the secret weapon, the centerpiece of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
The character knob.
Yeah.
This seems to be where the pedal goes from just versatile to truly expressive.
This is the crux of it. This is the control that takes a little patience but gives you the biggest reward. The sources call it the dial for expressive dynamics because it's adjusting 4 different things at once.
4 parameters on one knob. That feels, I don't know, almost counterintuitive for a stomp box. What is it fiddling with?
It's a masterstroke of design, really. As you turn it, you're changing the EQ shape, the gain curve, the specific harmonic emphasis, so which frequencies get pushed, and crucially, the response sensitivity.
The sensitivity.
Yeah, how much that dynamic analysis engine reacts to your picking.
So if I turn that knob just a tiny bit, I'm not just getting brighter, I'm literally changing the entire feel of the pedal, how it reacts to my hands.
Precisely. You're dialing through completely different circuit profiles that just feel different to play. That's the key insight here. You're shaping the texture and the reaction speed.
Okay, let's break down those textures. What happens when you set the character knob low?
At the low settings, the EQ is warmer, the gain curve is softer, and the response feels really forgiving. The sources describe it as having a soft clipping and a kind of tube-like sag.
So good for blues and jazz.
Perfect for blues, jazz, fusion. It's warm, fat, smooth. It feels like a vintage tube amp just starting to break up.
That sounds incredible. Now, what about the middle of the sweep? That's always the tricky part on these complex pedals.
In the middle, that's where you get maximum transparency, but it still has life. It's a flat EQ, but it uses that dynamic analysis to enhance your articulation without adding harshness. It's the ideal always-on sweetener spot.
It just makes your amp sound better.
Fuller, more responsive, yeah, without changing its fundamental character.
And then if I really need to cut through a mix for a solo, I crank it all the way up.
You got it. High character makes the EQ much brighter and more focused. The upper harmonics saturate really quickly, so you get these aggressive, super defined, cutting tones. It just makes leads pop.
And that brighter tone also helps the feedback generator, right?
Exactly. It optimizes the signal so the simulation engine can lock on to the target frequencies faster and more reliably.
Which brings us back to the main event. Let's talk about the feedback mechanism. How do you actually trigger it mid-song?
It's a momentary function. You just press and hold the foot switch.
And then let go to stop it.
Simple as that. You hold it down to start the sustain, lift your foot, and it fades out.
And the type of feedback you get isn't static. It's tied to those boost and character settings.
That's right. If you have the character set low and warm, you'll probably generate the fundamental pitch, like a gentle, humming sustain.
And if you crank it high,
then you get that classic, screaming, upper harmonic feedback, the kind of high-pitched note that really cuts through for a solo. And the best part is, it's responsive. If you move your guitar or use the whammy bar, the pitch glides just like real acoustic feedback would. It's incredibly musical.
So looking at the practical side, we've got two clear uses. First, as a pure booster, where does it shine there?
As a booster, it's all about high headroom, clean gain with really precise coloration. It's fantastic for pushing a tube amp into its natural sweet spot.
Because you can tune exactly where it breaks up with the character knob.
Precisely. Gentle sag or aggressive bite, you choose. It's also amazing for adding clarity and presence to amps that are maybe a bit dark or muddy.
And second, as the feedback generator. What's fascinating here is its ability to work in, well, non-traditional settings.
And that's the key for modern players. It gives you those long, smooth, sustained textures for solos or for ambient music. Think of the shimmering layers in post-rock.
Infinite sustain.
Basically, yeah. But the genius is that it's volume independent. You can be tracking in the studio with your monitors way down or practicing with headphones and still get that essential feel of a note blooming into feedback.
So you can use those performance effects, like the pitch glides, without blowing out your eardrums.
Exactly. Or you can use it as a textural layer under a clean part to add thickness. Very few pedals can do both the clean boost thing and the creative feedback thing so well.
So now that we've pulled it apart, let's place it in its historical context. I mean, the FB2 wasn't a totally new idea from Ben SS. It was a successor to a cult classic, the DF2.
That's right, the old super feedbacker and distortion from the 80s.
A very different beast, though.
Oh, completely. The DF2 was iconic, but it was much simpler. It was a distortion pedal, and when you held the switch, it would just generate a fixed artificial feedback tone. It was fun, but it was pretty rigid.
And the FB2 was a huge leap forward.
A massive leap. The move from that simple digital tone to this advanced hybrid system that actually simulates air coupling, it showed BFSS was serious about making volume-independent feedback feel natural and dynamic. It totally modernized the concept.
And who ended up using it, given all this nuance?
It became really popular with players who needed expressive, sustained leads, but also ambient and experimental guitarists, people who create textures. It never got the marketing push of something like the Blues Driver, which is why it earned that sleeper pedal reputation.
And now, because of a pretty short production run, it's highly collectible.
Yep. It's one of those you hang on to if you find one. And that demand is a testament to its innovation. The work BISS did on this pedal's expressive dynamics system that didn't end here.
You can see its DNA in their later gear.
Absolutely. That whole philosophy of analyzing a player's attack to make digital effects feel analog, that directly informed their later multi-effects and modeling units, it really laid some important groundwork.
So what does this all mean?
I think it means the FB2 is far more than just a booster or a feedback box.
It really stands out as one of the most innovative and expressive pedals in bias history. It successfully blends that analog warmth with a precise digital brain to create something truly new, controllable, amp-like feedback.
Its real value is giving players this surgical tool for sweeten their tone that also happens to be an incredibly powerful, creative texture generator.
Which brings us right back to that first impression. The sources say over and over that to get the most out of it, it requires proper settings and is not a simple pedal.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see this trade-off. The pedal offers profound versatility. That character knob lets you dial in exactly how you want everything to interact.
But it takes time.
It takes time and patience. And that raises a really important question for us today. What complex, deeply versatile tools in music or technology or any creative work are we maybe avoiding just because we expect instant results?
Are we missing out?
Exactly. Are we missing out on musical depth or any other kind of depth by always prioritizing ease of use over profound control?